Star Trek, the ultimate franchise. These are the podcasts of the Wakefield brothers. Their 16-year mission to watch every production, to seek out life lessons and new inspirations, to boldly watch like most fans have watched before. Welcome back to Temporal Directive, the Star Trek fan podcast rewatching the entire franchise in chronological order. I'm Gary.
And I'm Tom.
And we are once again breaking the directive to recap and discuss the newest episode of Lower Decks. And we are, of course, rejoined in our temporal incursion with guest host Grant. Welcome back.
Thank you very much. Glad to be back.
How's your week been?
Slow. Very slow.
Is that good?
I guess it has been, but I was actually, I've watched the new episode of Lower Decks probably 3 or 4 times, so that's taken up
Excellent.
That's taken up my time a little bit. But
Nice.
Apart from that, it's just been training new puppy, and that's about it.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
How's the training going?
Oh, she's very intelligent, but she's still a puppy golden retriever, so still waiting for the Velociraptor stage to come out.
Nice. They're so cute.
They are. All puppies are
I
cute.
don't think I could try. Don't think I would have the patience to train because I just let them get away with everything.
Same. My dogs are so disobedient.
I don't do the psychological manipulation by the eyes.
Well, it's funny. You see, my dogs are the same. Like I don't give them treats or anything like that. But there's something about like the big golden retrievers that I'm like, oh, it's so cute.
My dogs get anything they want, whenever they want. They just have to look at me and they get a treat. I'm their emotional support human, I
You
think.
big sook.
When we do peer support, we do go for the 10 nuggets at KFC straight afterwards as a reward. So
That's a good reward.
No,
Yeah.
I bloody reckon they love that.
Whenever we get takeaway, we buy something for the dogs.
Yeah.
If I cook breakfast, which, doesn't happen too often, but I will scramble up their own eggs. They'll get their own bowl of eggs.
Wow, that's impressive. That is parenthood right there. That is the whole. What do they call it? The dogs when they have their fur babies. That's it.
that's
they're
it.
total fur
absolute
babies.
fur
So
babies.
I take the yolks out of mine because the yolks give my dogs heartburn.
Ah, yeah.
So I do a big whip up of egg whites for them and
Beautiful.
cook that.
Wow. See, my dogs are they're just not loved.
You're
are
mistreated.
They're just not loved.
You mistreat them.
I mean,
you don't love them enough.
They just don't get anything. They just get their regular food.
Dry food.
Their dry food. That
You don't even give them wet food, do you?
No, I don't. And then they get their half a cup of dry food that the bag recommends.
Oh my God.
And that's it. They get their treats off mum and dad, off their in this case, their grandparents, which is so weird.
It's not weird. Whenever we're going to take our dogs over to mum and dad's place, I'm like, you want to go see grandma? You want to see grandma? And they get excited. They know what I'm talking about.
They do.
That's so weird.
It's not weird.
That
It's totally normal.
Mum and dad are the ones that spoil my dogs. And like you can tell because when we're sitting down for tea, my dogs will be crowding around them, not me.
Yeah.
I get to eat my meal in peace.
I pretty much have a dog next to me almost on my plate when I eat.
And that's what mum and dad's dog Pip does. They're like sitting on the plate.
I'm okay with that.
Well, my dogs are assistance dogs, so they're restaurant trained and lay underneath the table and
Much more
stay out of
behaved.
the way. And
Yeah.
Much more behaved. All right, let's get into this week's episode, shall we?
Alrighty.
All right, so this week's Lower Decks is called The Best Exotic Nanite Hotel. Obviously a play on the Best Exotic Marigold Hotel. This episode was written by Stephanie Amanti Ritter. Sorry if I butchered that. Directed by Brandon Williams. And the IMDb synopsis reads, the Lower Deckers hunt nanites on a resort in space. That's it.
IMDb is pretty bad at doing little summaries, aren't they?
They don't have very good synopses.
No.
I think they need us fans to start writing them for them.
Yeah.
Then it'll be a novel.
Yeah, I was going to say, Gary's got like 10 pages in his hands about this episode, so that might not be a good idea.
Brace yourself. Brace.
Get
brace.
ready.
Brace.
All right, let's get into it.
All right.
We open on an external shot of the Cerritos approaching a fancy-looking space station, or we discover a cruise ship, and the captain's log says it is the Cosmic Duchess, an interstellar cruise ship which is basically a massive flying space resort with different climate zones, theme parks, casinos, but she says they're not there to relax. Then we cut to inside one of the zones, and it looks like some nice, maybe like European village or something.
Yeah.
And there's a big sign that says buffet and pool. Kind of reminded me of Vegas, to be honest.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So there's people around, and we go into a room, and we get a close up on a vent in the wall, and this silver blob comes out as the captain log explains that a nanite cluster has infested the resort, and it's consuming metal to self-replicate, which we see it do with a waitress's pad that she's taking orders on or something.
Yeah, which is really strange though, right? Wouldn't nanites just eat everything?
Well, it's on a spaceship too, isn't it?
Like, you'd think it'd just eat like everything. Like,
Power conduits.
yeah. And like,
Well, it would only take metal, wouldn't it?
well, why would it only take metal? It's nanites. It can.
Well, it's self-replicating, so it needs metal to replicate itself. Why would it take anything else?
Because
What's a nanite going to do with wood?
Well, the space station's not made of wood.
No. Correct.
that's true, but aren't nanites able to like reconstruct stuff like on a molecular kind of level?
Well, I think they need the raw materials to replicate in order to build, and I think that's, if they've got wooden nanites, that would be quite priority.
I thought they could like change the molecular structure of wood to whatever it needs to be.
So you think they're like replicators or transporter technology?
Well,
I don't think that's in a
nanites
nanite.
don't work in the same way, because in some other Star Trek show, we see somebody eat raw metals and didn't develop nanites very well
Yeah.
because of the raw metals that were available at the time.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah,
don't
right.
know.
I'm probably thinking too much into it.
I think you're
I
thinking
just
too
thought nanites could turn anything into anything.
No.
That would be
I don't think so.
replicating nanites.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think so. Anyway. The captain says that they've been sent to capture and study the microscopic robots. So we cut to inside the Cerritos, and the gang is back together now that Tendy's back on the ship. And Boimler, Mariner, Rutherford, Tallinn, and Tendy are in the hallway on their way to their mission. Tendy's really excited, says that she's excited to do pest control, which I thought was a funny way of talking about the nanites. It was pest control.
And good to have Tendy back in the episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the crew, obviously.
And I like Boimler's growing beard and mustache.
Yeah, it's getting slowly bigger each episode, isn't it?
That's great.
Maybe by the 10th episode, he might have the
full
actual beard.
The full Riker.
Like the interdimensional
Yeah.
formula
Yeah.
from the last episode.
Oh yeah, clearly he's trying to style himself on that.
Do you reckon it's going to be full or all patchy?
I don't know. I think it might be like stubbly, like Ransom's.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So during that conversation, Boimler talks about how amazing the Duchess is, which I don't know if anyone else has ever listened to the podcast. My dad wrote a porno.
No.
It is the funniest
Yeah.
podcast that's ever been made.
You've shown
And,
me episodes.
I saw a live show in Adelaide a couple of years ago before COVID. And anyway, it's hilarious. But one of the characters is called the Duchess. So every time they refer to the Duchess in this episode, I was thinking about this porno.
That's great.
Yeah. Boyne was excited because one of the casinos he read has a bunch of Dixon Hill slot machines. And I was like, nice nod to Next Gen there.
Yeah, that was great.
So they're just about to leave, and Ransom comes over and interrupts and basically takes Boimler away and says, "We're going on a side quest." But Boimler's kind of excited to have a mission with the big boys. So they go into the transporter room to beam down. And Mariner says how good it is to have a straightforward mission. There's no drama.
Didn't like Ransom's creepy
Didn't
winks.
like the creepy wink. But just as they're about to get on the transporter pad to beam down, the doors reopen and Jennifer is back. Yay, Jennifer. But she rushes up to Mariner, gives her a kiss on the cheek and says, "You weren't about to leave without your girlfriend, were you?" We're like, what?
Yeah.
What?
I don't know about you, but I was really, really like that. I was like, what? Did I miss something?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, same. Like, wait, didn't they break up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was
well,
funny.
Jennifer was a bitch to her at the end of the last season.
Yeah, for that last, for that last bit.
Such a good character.
Yeah, she is.
It's fun. We skip the credits and we cut to the shuttle bay, and Ransom is packing a civilian shuttle with Billip, and Boimler comes in, and Ransom explains that they're going on an undercover mission. Undercover is like vacation bras.
And their aliases with the gambling addictions and
Yeah, they're talking about their undercover characters.
Wearing tiny short shorts. And
Tiny short shorts.
Big t-shirts.
But before they can get into what the actual mission is, there's another lower decker that gets wheeled past Boimler, who's missing pretty much from the elbow down on both his arms, and he's got a bandage wrapped around his head, and he's basically saying that he's lost his hands because of Ransom, because he treats all the lower deckers like canaries in the coal mine, and better to risk their safety than ours.
That's it.
but his only concern was he couldn't scratch his nose.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
I can't even scratch my nose.
So now Boimler's scared he's going to get used as a canary.
Yeah.
But Ransom calls him back over, and they explain that they're going over to the Duchess to find an Admiral Milius who's gone AWOL with vacation madness. It's like, I think we all have had vacation madness, right?
Yes.
We never wanted to leave.
Yep.
And apparently the Admiral had called Starfleet Command and told them to shove a coconut up their butt. I did not do that when I had vacation madness.
Some days I'm sure you feel like saying something similar to your bosses, though. I'm sure I have.
I would never say that to Lynn.
I own my own business.
Oh, you're all good.
All right, we cut back to the resort that we saw earlier with the rest of the gang, and they're scanning. Lynn says to Mariner that she finds it odd that she had never mentioned she had a girlfriend. Mariner says, "That's because I don't. We broke up like forever ago." And Tendi asks Mariner if she's sure she actually broke up with her. She said, "Well, yeah, she gave me back a candle, and I broke up with her with my silence."
Just walked away.
And then Jennifer comes back in the room and says, "Babe, get over here. You're going to love this. Babe."
I love it.
Me too.
I've had an ex like that too.
So Jennifer calls Mariner out of the room, and Rutherford is doing his scanning and finds some residue and says that he's calling the nanite blob glumpers because they glump so much. They say that Glumpus took some power cells and material from one of the golf cart things to feed its replication, and then Jennifer says that means we could use a power cell to lure it in, and then runs off, gives Mariner a kiss on the cheek, and then runs off to set up a trap. And then Mariner is freaking out. Like, she totally thinks we're still together. This is crazy. What is going on?
It's an interesting thing that they have an actual electric sort of trap thing.
With the string and box.
Yeah, and string and everything. It's all ready to go. Like, what? Who designed that?
Well, I think Jennifer went in there to do it.
Yeah,
Didn't
I
she
know.
set it up?
Yeah, but the
Yeah.
box comes with a
With its own little tray.
with its own little like trap
There you
bar.
go.
Like it's all ready to go. They
Pre-made.
pre-made electric trap bar built.
You can
in.
replicate anything nowadays, you know. Oh dear.
So
So Jennifer's setting up that trap, and And she tells Mariner that this is her final mission with the Cerritos as she's transferring. She's going to another ship where there's a lot of Andorians. There's better options for a career, better chance of advancement, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So Mariner was all set to have this breakup conversation and like end things, but now she's like, "Oh, well, that doesn't. I don't have to worry about that now.
No,
I can avoid that messy conversation." So she's like, "Oh, that's great, babe."
Just kind of worked itself out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's just focus on having one last day together,
Yeah.
babe.
It's gonna be great, babe.
It's so good. The way that they say babe all the time,
I know.
it reminds me of the Office episode, the dinner party episode of The Office.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're fans of The Office, but that scene where that episode where Michael and God, what's her name? Jan.
I can't believe you forgot that.
I know. I've watched it a lot. That episode where they're both sarcastically calling each other babe.
Yeah.
Like, good luck paying me back with your $0 income, babe. Anyway, every time they say babe, it just
it's
makes
great.
me think of The Office, which I love.
Yeah, The Office is just a brilliant series.
We cut to a beachside tropical bar. Boimler is lathering himself up in sunscreen. And Ransom says, "Don't bother. The sun is artificial and it knows when you're perfectly tanned."
How perfect would that be?
It'd be great, wouldn't it? It'd be just unreal.
Oh, I'd still probably be pasty white.
Oh, I would burn. I would still burn. I'd be like Boimler.
Yeah.
I'd
I'd
just
look like a lobster.
So
Yeah.
you should be ginger, but not.
Yeah, kind of.
right.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm out in the sun for like 3 minutes, and I'm like crisp.
So they're in the bar because they know that the Admiral has ordered a bunch of drinks there, and Ransom asks Boimler to go and speak to the Gallimites, which we've heard of in Star Trek, but we've never seen the Gallimites before. So this is our first actual visualization of the Gallimites.
They were mentioned in Deep Space Nine
Yeah,
quite a bit. weren't
Jadzia
Yeah, I
went
was
on a
just about
date
to say,
with
went
a captain.
With the
Yeah,
transparent
that's
skulls.
it.
Correct.
Yep.
I can't remember his name, but
No,
but yeah, she went on a date with one,
Because
and
Kira would always be commenting, saying, "How can you date someone with a transparent skull?"
yeah, exactly. They're not really what I was expecting from the description on Deep Space Nine, because they kind of look like shark men.
Yeah, and big and angry and funny
Like-
looking.
They're weird looking,
Yeah,
but anyway, that's the Gallimites.
yeah.
But they look kind of aggressive, and they're making this weird noise, and Boimler's clearly a bit
Scared
shitless
Yeah.
of talking to them. So he's like, "No, why don't I go and talk to those friendly-looking people over there?" And he points to these three aliens that are playing this big inflatable ball together. They're just sort of bouncing it around. And Ransom's like, "You want to talk to the Cretaceans?" He's like, "I love the initiative, Boimler. Go for it." And like pushes him towards them. And then Boimler approaches, and he's trying to act all casual. He takes a sip of his drink, and one of them gasps, "How dare you drink in front of us?" And Boimler says, "Oh, is alcohol frowned upon in your culture?" And then takes a bite of something to eat. And then they're all pissed off. One of them's like, "That's it, you pervert!" And they get into a bit of a fight, but Ransom comes over and breaks it up and says, "I'm sorry, my friend didn't understand," or whatever. So they walk off with one of them going, "Filthy, what a filthy little man." Just made me laugh
Yeah,
so
it was
much.
so good.
They have some more information that apparently one of the Admiral's friends is always at the top of the mountain that's sort of in the background with snow on top of it. And so they decide to let's head up there.
Big dangerous mountain. So they're going to get climbing, which I found a bit
Yes.
funny.
Yeah, he couldn't just beam up there or get the anti-grav boots.
Yeah,
or
yeah, that's right. 100 other ideas.
Yeah.
Not only that, but when they finally get there, not that we're there yet, but when they finally get there, there's a shit ton of skiers, right?
Yeah.
So are you telling me there's no ski lift or anything
No.
all the way up to the top
No
of the
chair
mountain?
lift.
Like,
Or just a lift inside the mountain.
yeah, that's
just
right. Like any other way
hike.
to get
Everyone
there.
has to hike up the
Everybody
mountain.
has to climb up.
Anyway, we cut to the rest of the gang. They're hiding behind a bar waiting at the trap. So they've set up the power cell. Rutherford doesn't think it's going to work, but Mariner's like, "Yeah, just give Jennifer a win. Like, let's just wait and see." While they're hiding behind the desk, Lynn notices a poster for Krog on the Rocks, who's playing that night, who she says is her favourite musician, a master of the vibe tubes.
Which sounds wrong to me.
So Glompus starts coming through the wall towards the trap and sort of sniffs. It looks like he sniffs around for a second but then moves away. And Mariner suggests shooting it with a phaser to try to charge it up to make it a bit more enticing.
Isn't it a phaser power crystal too?
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it probably is. But that works. They phaser it. It works. Glompus jumps on to take the power, and the trap falls, and he's underneath. But then
The very sophisticated 24th century trap.
yes, that's right, a box. Glompus explodes out of the box and escapes down the stairs.
Jennifer at that time got suspicious about Mariner trying to speed up the capture. So she got suspicious about Mariner trying to speed up the whole mission so she doesn't have to spend much time with her.
Yeah,
I bet
that's right.
if my ex was on that.
So Glompus runs out. They run out after, and they jump on a cart to chase Glompus through the resort area. Mm-hmm. We cut back to the mountain, and the three bros have just climbed to the top of the ski resort. They find the friend of the admiral that they were looking for, and Ransom sends Boimler to go and talk to her, but she's heading down a ski slope, and he sees some children going down there as well, so he's like, yeah, that's no problem, I can do that. I think he says something about the canary, like the canary is about to fly, which Ransom and Phillips have no idea what he's talking about. And so he follows her down the slope, and they take the risky course instead of the kids' course.
It's called Coward's
And
Gulch or something.
Yeah, Coward's Gulch. He's scared shitless because he wasn't expecting this, and he jumps onto some other person's back. And he's like, help me get down the mountain. And the guy's like, you're grabbing onto my genitals. Why are they on your back? Where else would they be? So funny. He throws Boimler off, and then Boimler goes flying off the edge of a very big cliff edge. And we get this beautiful wide shot of him slowly falling with a really long scream, which is followed by a big puff of snow when he lands. It was classic. It was great. So the woman he was chasing comes over and pulls him out of the pile of snow he landed in. And she says, I've never seen anyone fall off that cliff and live. And Boimler says, yeah, I'm lucky stuff that keeps me in space most of the time. My bones aren't very dense. And then she's like, you're with Starfleet? What? So much for undercover. He's a really shit undercover operative. So she grabs a communicator and warns the Admiral that Starfleet is here and they're looking for you. So Boimler looks pretty disappointed in himself, really.
Yeah, well, so he should be.
Yeah.
Just literally saying straight up, I'm from Starfleet.
Yeah. So much for undercover. Ridiculous.
They did trace the communication signal, though, in Boimler's defense.
Lucky enough.
So we cut back to the streets of the resort, and Glompus is huge and moving through the streets, destroying things. The team is following. They go through a massive window into a theatre, and Mariner wants to split the team up to find Glompus. Jennifer is upset, like, you're splitting us up on my final mission? No.
My sweet, loving girlfriend.
Yeah, my girlfriend and I will take the balcony.
Babe, come on.
Jennifer heads up to the balcony where they're gonna look, and Mariner says to everyone else, like, this is crazy, she still thinks we're a couple. And to Lynn, with no sarcasm at all, replies, perhaps because you were pretending to be.
Yeah. Funny that, isn't it? It's really weird. Yeah.
Exactly. But everyone else is like, relationships look different in Starfleet. Everyone's off, sometimes getting transformed.
Yeah, that's it. Was she one of the mushroom people? No, one of the was it the mushrooms?
Crystals.
Crystals, yeah. One of the people who got turned into crystals last month.
Yeah, so, she starts to think, well, maybe I should have just properly broken up with her.
Yeah, probably a good idea.
So she heads off. She heads towards the balcony area where Jennifer went to. But we cut to the three bros floating in some tubes on a river.
The lazy river.
A lazy river. And Ransom wants to send Boimler into this dangerous-looking cave, but Boimler is mad at this point. He's like, "I'm not your canary. Or like, I'm a good officer. This isn't okay." Billups is trying to get Ransom and Boimler to stop yelling because he's noticed some stuff on the sides on the shore, and all these people show up and they shoot some. What are they, like darts into the tubes, and they deflate. And so they're kind of surrounded by people, and then we cut back to the theatre. And they're talking about different ways to capture Glumpus. But Talin is really distracted by Krog's vibe tubes. She's fangirling out. And Jennifer and Mariner are fighting, and they keep calling each other babe and my love and all that sort of stuff. And then giant Glumpus appears behind them and turns the other way to consume all the other people and everything on the stage.
Yeah.
And then moves away. So everyone else is inside Glumpus, and it's left Mariner and Jennifer on the outside.
What do they keep calling it? The shape? Like, because it turns into a weird, like, looks like a dice from a game of Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah,
she stops and counts how many sides it's got. She's like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. It's a icosahedron.
Icosahedron. Yeah, so it's a Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, it looks like a Dungeons and Dragons dice, right?
Clearly. Yeah, it was definitely designed to look like that.
Yeah, because it's not a gelatinous cube. It's a Dungeons and Dragons dice.
Absolutely. So it moves off, and then we cut to a big resort sign that says AWOL Falls. a Latinum elite guest experience.
Club Med.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it. It's so good.
And the 3 bros are being handcuffed to boards, and there's a waitress there that's like, welcome to AWOL Falls.
Yeah.
The perfect place to hide from command. And the Admiral was asked for a private audience with Boimler.
Only Boimler.
So they uncuff him and take him into this big like pool room where the Admiral's kind of in the shade, in the dark. And
very typical like 90s Star Trek and TV shows and stuff, isn't it? With the bad guy in the shadows and
that's right.
Yeah, the dark lighting.
I'm still. Why the sunscreen? If the sun knows.
Yeah. Well, that's it. Well, he's burnt.
Yeah,
true.
He's got tan lines around his eyes. The man in the shadows says that he's been watching Boimler all day. He even has a video clip of him on the slopes on the back of that guy. And he comes out of the shadows, and he's a balding dude with red skin, tan lines around the eyes, open robe. He's sipping a drink out of a coconut. Not very intimidating, but... Boimler basically says he's there to capture you, and he says, we can't be captured. We're an idea.
A concept.
Yeah. And we're cut from the same cloth. Command doesn't care about people like us. Boimler says, is that why you went AWOL? And then he talks about how he never got the good missions. He always got the boring ones. And he talks about how he spent years waiting for a meaningful post, and all he got to do was milk space whales.
Yeah, that's it.
He was an interstellar dairy farmer.
Milking Gormaganders.
Yeah, it was so good. It was so hilarious. And I love how Boimler's like, which whales? What whales?
Yeah, he's
Tell me everything.
Excited. But then there was that.
All of them!
But then there's that comment, all those galaxy child things.
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
Oh, it's funny. But yeah, so the Admiral is trying to convince Boimler to join him instead of capturing him. He says, do you want happy hour, extended happy hour every Monday? If you want that, come with me. And Boimler says, well, happy hour does sound pretty happy. And we cut back to the Glumpus. He's tearing up the streets. He's picking up people and things, getting bigger and bigger. And we see a shot of Rutherford, Talin, and Tendi inside the Glumpus. And then it rolls past an ice cream truck with what looks like a father and son eating an ice cream. And there's
Krog.
big Krogs. Yeah, Krog standing there with a tiny little ice cream cone. And Glumpus kind of pauses for a second so that we can see what's going on, and then moves to envelop everyone and leaving an ice cream to just sort of fly away
Fall
and hit the
onto
ground.
the floor.
I just didn't understand what Mariner's net was going to do to the
I don't know.
icosahedron.
Such a tiny little net, wasn't
Just a net. It's big enough to cover Krog, and that's it.
it? Yeah, and it's like it was clearly like a metal net too. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like
It's just more
gonna eat
material.
it.
Exactly. But they get to the end of the road and they have to jump. So they jump into a palm tree and the cart crashes. Glumpus is moving back and forth, just consuming shit everywhere. And Mariner and Jennifer are in the tree and they're apologizing to each other. And Mariner finally says, like, we broke up a year ago. And Jennifer's like, I know, I've been fucking with you. Mariner's like, why would you do that? Because we never broke up and I wanted you to admit that we never talked about it. So, yeah, they finally have some resolution.
Yeah,
there.
finally actually, lay it all out.
Exactly.
Finally not hearing any more, babe.
Yeah,
Babe.
that's it. Babe.
But Mariner gets a phone call from Rutherford from inside Glumpus and says that he's found a signal that's controlling the nanites from inside and that we need to find a way to interrupt them.
Did she say phone call?
Yeah, I said phone
Yeah,
call.
he
Hail,
uses things
phone
like that.
call.
He says phone call, he says gun, he says all sorts of stuff instead of phaser
Or
and
receives a
communication or any of that kind of stuff. If you listen to the podcast, you see his miscommunication.
There is no phones in the 24th century, people.
There
There's
was one.
No phones.
I'm sorry, there was one inside Data in that Dream episode.
It's called a dream, Gary.
It's called an Android phone. So we cut to Boimler, who's laying back in a lounge chair, getting a drink delivered to him. Ransom and Billop are still handcuffed into the boards in the background. And Ransom is telling Boimler that they didn't bring him as a human shield. He's not a canary. I don't think he uses canary because I don't think they ever figure that out.
No.
But they brought him because he's good at problem solving and they wanted to give him opportunities to like do some brave things. And the Admiral's like, these people are talking shit to you. They're lying to you. They don't give a shit.
Have you also seen the weapons that they're carrying? They're just
No, what are they?
Pool cues with darts attached to the end of them, just like the actual playing darts. But, yeah.
Fantastic.
I also like how they got like a stand-in Boimler to like stand on the other spot. It's like that's all he does.
Oh dear. So anyway, they're both arguing to try to get Boimler to either stay with Starfleet or to join the AWOL team. And Boimler greases himself up with sunscreen, kind of implying that he's going to go AWOL. But then he squirts some sunscreen into the Admiral's face, and all these bad guys try to capture him, but because he's so wiry and slippery, he just slides around.
Leather and sunscreen.
So they can't catch him. So he gets over to Ransom and Billop and gets them out of their restraints using the same
Technique.
sunscreen. Yeah. And then we cut back to the Glumpus, who's still rolling around. Mariner and Jennifer are on a rooftop and they throw a battery on the ground, another battery or power cell or whatever.
See? Battery. See what I mean? He just uses layman's terms.
Phaser power cell.
Layman's terms. It's
It's
for the audience.
regenerative,
Then they
Gary.
shoot it with a gun. Because it worked before. Shooting it worked before to attract the Glumpus, so they did that again. And then Mariner and Jennifer jump into the Glumpus. Inside, they give to Lynn Krog's vibe tubes to play to disrupt the signal holding the Glumpus together. And it works, and the Glumpus explodes. And then we cut back to the Admiral, who's
Pool
losing
cues with the
his
darts.
shit. Yeah, I didn't notice that before. That's funny. He's telling the guards or whatever that are with him to attack, and they're like, that's not really the vibe that we're going for. And decide to just leave. But the Admiral doesn't want to go back, and Ransom's like, sorry, bruh, vacation's over.
Because he thinks he'll be put in charge of Starbase 80.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to go back.
So we cut back to the Glumpus mess, and there's nanite goo everywhere. And there's a shuttle has landed, and there's a bunch of Starfleet people cleaning up, and
Talin approaches Krog with his tubes to give them back, and they have a nice little chat. Talin apologizes for using his tubes, and he says that is illogical. And he says that he's become an adoptee of Vulcan practices in his quest for ultimate chill.
It was a good little moment, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was good. And then Jennifer and Mariner have a little farewell moment as well. They kind of apologize to each other. But Rutherford is scanning some of the residue and says that the Glumpus has been controlled by a single microscopic ship. They scan the goo that Rutherford picks up on his finger and finds an Intrepid class, so it looks like a little Voyager, which hails them, and it's Captain Tussell of the Endeavour, who says that their ship was pulled through some sort of parallel universe fissure and that they've been through a month of hell.
A month? So good.
I thought that was a really good little...
Oh, it's so good.
But it's making me think with all the interdimensional stuff that was mentioned in the last episode.
Yeah.
What's brought out
these fissures keep happening, right? So I think the big bad of the season is going to be tied into these fissures. Clearly,
I reckon that's going to be something pretty weird going on.
Yeah. So we get an external shot of the Duchess now, and there's another captain's log who says that the mission has become a rescue mission for this microscopic ship. It's come through from another parallel dimension where everything is that small.
God, that would suck.
And that they can't send them home because they can't recreate the fissures, basically.
Yeah.
But Admiral Milius comes in and says that he's cancelled all of his missions until he can get Captain Tussell on the Endeavour home. And the captain says, Admiral Milius, you exist in my dimension too, but there you just milk whales. And he says, well, that's not the case here.
That's it.
That was a good. That was a good
Great, wasn't it?
So he's going to dedicate himself to getting that crew home. And we cut to the mess hall, and Tendi gives Talin an autographed photo of Krog, and Talin looks at it and says, it's defaced. No, it's an autograph. And she says that's kind of illogical or something along those lines. And Tendi says, oh, I can recycle it, I suppose. No, I might hold on to it in case I want to study handwriting in the future. So, yeah, she clearly loves it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, Jennifer comes in to say goodbye. Boimler seems kind of proud of reminding an admiral of the good old Starfleet, the good of Starfleet.
Yeah.
And Ransom comes in to say congratulations as well to Boimler for saving the day.
Yeah.
And to find the ensign that lost his hands for another dangerous mission.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's the episode.
Yeah.
So, what do we think?
I thought the little Intrepid class thing at the end was really good.
Yeah, it was good. There was elements to it that were really, really good, and then others that were a bit like, I don't know, not preachy or anything, but just a bit like, I don't know, the relationshipy stuff was just a bit sort of like, felt a little forced. But you know,
I thought it was good.
I mean, it was fine. It was funny, and like it all felt natural. I just meant like forced as in like it was just telling that story because it seemed to need to. I don't know. It seems a bit weird.
Well, it's just sort of like Jennifer disappeared at the end of last season. Everybody was just like, well, she was a bit cruel to Mariner, but yeah.
Now she's gone.
Yeah.
Now she's back. I really liked it. I think it's good. The fissures being mentioned again, clearly that's going to be an ongoing thread.
Yeah.
But I thought it was a good episode.
Yeah, it was just strange having an episode without Shax in it.
Yeah, he's good, isn't he?
Yeah.
But I like to encourage all the Lower Deck fans to keep rewatching it on Prime so the heads at Paramount know that they can renew the series.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or someone else could buy it, like Netflix did with Prodigy.
Yeah.
I'd be happy with that too.
Yeah.
Save Lower Decks.
What about Disney? We all happy with Disney taking it?
No.
Disney has enough.
How did I know you was all going to do that?
I mean, I love Disney, but
They'll make 19 Lower Deck movies.
it's true.
It's so true. They'd have little hidden Mickeys throughout. Yeah.
If Disney was to buy Star Trek, there could be a Star Trek themed land at one of the Disney parks, and
That
I'm
would be
sure
pretty fucking awesome.
None of us would be opposed to that.
I'd be all over that. Not only that,
Exactly.
but they could. Could you imagine the holodeck programs you could have in episodes?
I'd have to start an OnlyFans just to buy out the gift shop. Sell pictures of my feet or something.
This podcast got weird. All right, what's the life lesson in this episode?
I would say confront your issues, confront your situations, finish your shit.
I wrote down deal with your shit.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're like the Admiral and you don't like your work, do something different
Yeah.
before you go crazy.
Don't cry over spilt milk from Wales.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, Harry Mudd's hidden ships in Gormaganders before.
Yeah. Certainly has.
Cool.
So that's the life lesson we're going
That's the life lesson. Deal with your shit.
Yeah, deal with your
Don't
shit.
avoid bad stuff.
And find a new task that makes you happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, that's it for this week then.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us again, and we'll see you next week for next week's Lower Decks, I hope.
Done deal.
And for everyone at home, you can find us on Facebook at Temporal Directive Podcast and on Instagram, just Temporal Directive. Or you can send us an email at wakefield_productions@outlook.com. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this episode, anything Lower Decks or Star Trek related at all, really. We love talking about Star Trek, so please join in the conversation. We'll be back with our regular episode on Friday and next week for the next breach of the Temporal Directive. We'll see you then. Live long and prosper.
Peace and long life.